So human beings tend to climb mountains. We're fascinated by that. I myself enjoy watching documentaries and videos about people who climb Mount Everest. It's crazy people to do that, risk their life and limb, but they do it every year. Lots of people try, and there's dead bodies strewn all alongside the trail on top of that thing. They can't get them off the mountain, so it's a really grisly thing, but it's something that drives the human spirit. We want to climb a mountain. Man, I was watching a documentary the other night about Mars, and there's a ginormous mountain on the north pole of Mars called Olympus Mons. All right, Everest is 5.5 miles high. Okay, this is like 14. All right, it's more than twice as big as Mount Everest. It's just unimaginably big. You can see it in outer space when you see the silhouette of the planet. You see the bump of this mountain. So look, I was watching this thing, and this guy's talking about how big this mountain is, and I want to be the first one to climb it, is what he says in the documentary. And I'm like, that's it. That's the human spirit. We want to climb the mountain. We want to do it. That's good and is biblical in many respects. We can look at lots of things, Psalm 24 and all kinds of examples of climbing mountains to seek the Lord and the Lord having us climb mountains. Sure. But I think it's missing a very important aspect of this system of grace that we're working under in the new covenant. Okay, the system of law wants to sneak into our thinking all the time, where it's like, a quest, a journey of human beings to get to God. And we go through this long experience of seeking Him, and He's sitting there waiting for us at the top of the mountain to find or discover Him, to get to Him. And it's an earthly work of seeking. That's not an adequate understanding of salvation history as we understand it as Christians. This law of grace, this system of grace that we operate under, we don't look for God. He came looking for us. So He discovers and finds us. The initiative is God's in this system of grace in salvation history. So, yeah, we got to walk this way, but first and foremost, God's making His way to us. We have to receive the Lord first. Notice how interesting this is. We're to prepare the way of the Lord. Exact opposite of like us on this way, journeying up the mountain to God. Actually, it's the opposite. God's coming to us, and we have to prepare the way for Him. His entrance into our lives, into our hearts. We have to prepare for His visit. He's coming to see us, every single one of us. This is a great picture of the life of grace, the Lord coming to each one of us and us preparing ourselves. It's got to be real, though. It's got to be real. Can't be phony. I talked to a Secret Service guy who worked for the White House, and I don't know, a while back, I think during the Obama administration, he went to China. I think Obama went there like 3 times, I think. I don't know. And on one of these trips to China, the Secret Service guys were just cracking up, they had gotten all the poor people out of this one city. They wanted, they went to this one particular city that was supposed to be this model of communist China, this industrial city. But it was so dirty, it was so nasty, and there were so many poor people. They literally, the Chinese, shipped these poor people out of the city so that they wouldn't be seen. And then there were no signs of life in the city. It was just dirty, nasty city. No birds. Forget about it. So the Secret Service guys come out outside the hotel and they hear bird sounds. They looked up in the trees. The Chinese had put speakers in the trees, and they were piping in bird sounds to come from the trees. All right. And I was telling this to the last mass at the 12:30, and a lady who was married to a diplomat and was in China for many years was telling me how she went there for this world conference or something, and the Chinese had sandblasted 2 blocks of buildings, and then they took all these government officials on this tour of the city, but they wouldn't let them out of the bus, and they only got to see the parts that they had sandblasted. All right, and they even put up a building in a park, this beautiful building in a park. But when you go over and look at it, though, it's only 2 feet deep. It was a facade in the middle of a park, meant to impress all the government officials. All right, it's just interesting. You know, we have to be real. Can't be phony. The Lord sees all. As St. Peter said in that second reading there, you know, everything that was done on the face of the earth will be known. It will be known. All right? Everything done on the earth will be found out. We're not going to fool God. He can neither deceive nor be deceived. All right? So, you know, sometimes I make visits to people's houses, and they're all embarrassed and stuff, and they're like nervous that I'm going to, I don't know, bring some white gloves and check their baseboards or something, you know. I'm not going to do that, folks. But, you know, some people are worried, and I remember going to one person's house, and they had cleaned their house up, and they had stuffed everything in this attic, and a whole bunch of junk they had jammed into an attic space and wedged the door shut. Now, when I bless a house, I always bless all the windows and doors. So there was a window. I said, is there a window up there? They said, yeah. So I started going up there, opened the door, and it was like an avalanche of junk. Okay, coming out of this door. Now, they were absolutely scandalized, horrified that I saw this, that I saw their junk. And the funny thing is, I don't even remember it. I hardly even remember. I don't remember that, and it certainly didn't strike me as odd. If you saw the house I grew up in, okay, it was dangerous to go into our basement. You had to practice how to get to the washing machine. It was like, you know, there was like a one path, and 7 kids and cats, dogs, rabbits, mice, whatever's in that house. All right, it's a crazy, I know what it's like. All right, you don't want to check our baseboards, I guarantee it. There's probably petrified macaroni and cheese stuck up on there, I don't know. All right, it's, look, we're a mess. We're a mess. Let's not worry about it too much. We got to be real. We're not going to be perfect right now. This is the beginning. It's a process. The process of growing in grace and the grace of God. It will only be finished on the other side. The finished work of grace. Yes, we will be pure, completely pure. There will be nothing impure in heaven, the book of Revelation says. We will be fully glorified, fully realized in all potentialities, fully ourselves. The finished work of grace when we get to the other side. In the meantime, we're a work in progress and we're a mess. But the Lord still comes over to our house. He wants to come down here and make his home with us, God with us. So let's invite him in and let's make the way for him. Look, he's not going to be scandalized. Look at the whole of salvation history. Matthew's Gospel, I love it. Chapter 1 starts with the genealogy. And it's a total train wreck. All kinds of scandalous stuff in there and indiscretions. Really, really egregious things. You got murder, you got adultery, you got prostitution, you got incest, you got all kinds of infidelity and backstabbing and betrayals, infidelity to the covenant, all kinds of things. Deportations. It's really a mess. And you get to the end of it, and Christ comes. And then he's born in a manger. And check the baseboard to that manger. Okay, that thing was a mess. Animals standing around doing their business. All right, laying him in a manger, this feeding trough where animals, slobbering animals, put their heads up in there. Is that where you want to put your baby? Nice sanitary conditions to have a baby in, huh? And then lay your newborn baby in a feeding trough for animals. Pretty disgusting place to have a child. That's God, though. Like he's seen it all, folks. He's seen it all. He won't be scandalized by anything in our soul that he sees. He knows what's in man, it says in John's Gospel. Man, he knows us backwards and forwards. What are we so embarrassed about? We got to let him in there. This is a process. And we let him in there. He is a healer. And he will come into our house like he came into many people's houses that weren't perfect. How about Zacchaeus? Zacchaeus, you must come down. I'm coming to you. I'm going to have dinner with you tonight. You know, he's willing to go anywhere into Matthew's house. He goes into the Pharisee's house, centurion's houses. He goes anywhere. The Lord is not scandalized, okay? He is a healer. He's a problem solver. He's a carpenter. He knows how to fix things. He's going to come into our lives, and we need to make the way for him and not be afraid to let him in.